going back to the Democratic Convention, I thought there was a number of great speeches there, and I was worried that they were going to be too soft on McCain and the Republicans, as John Kerry was in 2004. I had good reason to worry. But in the end, when I look back at it, were they too soft? I would say, no, they weren't. They hit him pretty hard in a couple of different places, and I thought they had some great speeches at this convention, probably better than any that I've either been to or heard previously in my lifetime. And at the same time, they struck a right balance. They were both tough on McCain, but presented a positive image of Barack Obama. They were political while pretending to be bipartisan in a way that I think worked. Let me give you some of the best lines from the convention that I loved. I wrote them down as we were doing our play-by-play. But let me give you the good lines from Richardson's speech. He said, "Now, is anyone really going to miss Dick Cheney?" It's so clever, it's so simple, and you go, man, that's a good point. No one in the country is going to miss Dick Cheney. But why would you want to put people like that back in charge? You wouldn't want to. And then he started talking about all the positions that John McCain has changed. And I was like, there you go, great, hard-hitting and true, explaining what John McCain used to believe in and what he changed to. And I was really glad that a prominent speaker did that. And then at the end, he came back and he said, look, I know John McCain's shoes cost a lot, referencing a story about his $520 shoes. And he said, I know his loafers might cost a lot, but we shouldn't be paying for his flip-flops. Which is very clever and done a lot better by Bill Richardson than I just did. Richardson was breathing fire. John Kerry was breathing fire. He talked about how some of McCain's tactics were pathetic, insulting, desperate. He challenged them very strongly on foreign policy, and he said, not just defensive Democratic positions, but he said Republican positions make us weaker. They are wrong on all of this stuff. That's a speech he should have delivered in 2004. Bob Casey Jr. had a great line when he talked about, we don't want another 4 years, all we want is just 4 more months. And for them to move out, the crowd chanted 4 more months. He said John McCain is not a maverick, he's a sidekick. And don't get me wrong, there were bad speeches as well. Evan Bayh, of course, as always, was deathly dull. Had the most vanilla plain speech of all time. Dick Durbin had a boring speech. Pelosi's speech was mediocre. Of course, they didn't all hit it out of the park. Al Gore came in, and in the past, the problem with Al Gore has been he's saying, hey, we got to be bipartisan in addressing global warming, and and John McCain has done some good things here too. And I think, but no, wait a minute now, you're undermining your own message here because you know John McCain isn't going to do it. You need to get Barack Obama elected. And in this speech, he didn't pull that bipartisan crap. He said, Democrats will do it and the Republicans won't. And he said it's not, and this was a very good point, not just about John McCain. The Republican Party is not interested in fighting this problem. That's something that they could have focused more on. I wish they did, which is to explain to the American people, it is not just John McCain. When you elect John McCain, you elect the entire Republican Party and the entire Republican infrastructure, which isn't built to help you. It's built to help themselves. Obama made a good point about that, and he said John McCain has voted with George Bush 90% of the time. So what does that tell you about his judgment? So going back to Gore, Gore had some clever lines too. He said, look, I know I'm in favor of recycling, but I don't want to recycle that, meaning the last 8 years. And finally he said, look, Obama is what we want in America, what the American dream is about. E pluribus unum, out of many, one. And when you look at Obama's history, that is what he literally is. Out of many came one. I want to give one more shout out to Bill Clinton. Huge ovation on Wednesday night. Great line was, America has to lead by the power of our example, not the example of our power. I mean, that encapsulates my vision for America's foreign policy. The power of our example to do the right things, not the example of our power. And that's exactly what George Bush has wrong. So when you wrap all this up, at the end of the convention, what's the sense that you get from it? You get a sense of these guys are going to fight for us. We're actually going to get change. We need change because we've been getting screwed these last 8 years. And these guys are going to try to bring people together to bring us that change. I got to say, mission accomplished.